Good evening. I'm Mayor Javier Figueroa, and I'm calling this regular meeting of the University Place City Council for Monday, July the 21st, 2025 to order. And we'll start with a roll call. Would the city clerk do so?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you. Councilmember Boykin?
I'm here.
Councilmember Worthington?
Present.
Councilmember McCluskey?
I'm here.
Councilmember Fleming?
Here.
Councilmember Grassi?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wood?
Present.
Mayor Figueroa?
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Will Councilmember McCluskey lead us in a pledge of allegiance?
Yes. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 4, approval of the agenda. Am I calling for a motion to approve the agenda?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add an executive session for approximately 30 minutes after item number 10.
Second the amendment.
Anyone opposed? Approved. So we'll move on to public comments. And
you've approved the amendment, however, you haven't approved the
excuse
agenda.
me. Thank you. So we approved the amendment, and now we're.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, so we'll move on, and it's unanimously approved. So we'll move on to public comments. And we have opportunity for the public to provide comments to the City Council on any items not appearing on the agenda or in the consent agenda. And so with that, I see a list here of folks that would like to have public comment, and it is for 3 minutes. State your name and the city you are residing in, and we'll continue. Is there anybody online?
No one online, Mayor.
Oops, excuse me. Sorry. So we'll start with the public that's present here today, and we'll start with Karen Benevisti. And will Karen come up? And again, state your name, where you live, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Karen Benvenisti. I'm representing the UP Historical Society. Currently, I reside at Point Rutston in Tacoma. There are also other members of the Historical Society here, and also many, many members of the Broback family. We'll be speaking with you later. So we're here to speak about clarifying the name of Homestead Park, our park right next door. Yes, the park was indeed part of a homestead, but there's more to the story and why the addition of a family name, Broback, would clarify and more accurately reflect the history of the park property. But first, I want to show you an artifact from our UP History Museum. Here it is. It's a tomato crate, about 50 to 75 years old. And we have this crate because we plan to do a museum exhibit about the historic importance of agriculture in UP, especially tomato cultivation. Because of fertile soil here and strong sunlight and a wonderful southwest exposure, tomatoes have always done very well here. And during the 30s, 40s, and 50s, tons of tomatoes were harvested every year. But it's a certain tomato farm that I want to speak about now, that of Anna Broback. Anna and her husband John came here from Norway in 1931 and settled on this very spot where this city hall is. Anna's tomatoes had to be among the best. A little later you'll see a photograph of their tomato field. Along with tomatoes, John and Anna grew a wide variety of fruits and vegetables and kept chickens, cows, and all the usual farm animals that they had in Norway. But the climate was a lot better here. John and Anna also grew a family of 4 children, all of whom contributed to the development of our community in some manner. Their descendants are here to speak with you a little bit later and to give you more detail. I'm just giving you a quick summary. Since Homestead Park sits on the land that once was the Brobeck family farm, and since agriculture here is so historically important, and since their crops exemplified this history, we asked that a park about a homestead should reflect history accurately by including the family's name in its signage. This request was unanimously voted on by the UP Historical Society on March 7th and endorsed by the UP Parks Commission April 7th. We now respectfully request the council to consider this request as well. Thank you. I now give you the Brobeck family.
Okay, next one I have in line is Susanna Berry Brobeck.
My name is Suzanne Brobeck. I'm married to Barry Brobeck, and I live in Seattle, Washington. Thank you, first of all, for letting us speak today. We want to introduce you to some of the Brobeck family who grew up in University Place and who lived on the Brobeck homestead. Barry and I owned the land and where Homestead Park is now. And we needed to sell it as things go, and we had a lot of options. But we were so happy when we could work with University, the city of University Place, because they were purchasing it for our future park. And we knew that would be the best use. So let me introduce the family. This is my husband, Barry Brobeck, and he is Curtis High School class of 62 and son of Bert Brobeck. Barb Brobeck, oldest sister, Curtis High School class of 1962. Barry was 65. Barb is 62, the first class of Curtis High School, also daughter of Bert Brobeck. Next to her, Pam Brobeck, class of 78, daughter of Bert Brobeck. And then Jill Brobeck, who is Curtis High School class of 1988, daughter of Art Brobeck. And Terry Storsett, he is Curtis High School class of 1971 and son of Marie Brobeck. Thank you.
The next one we have is Brian Valley.
Good evening. My name is Brian Valley, and thank you for letting us speak with you all this evening. I am the great-grandson of John and Anna Brobeck, and the grandson of Bert Brobeck. I am also a resident of University Place with my wife and our 11-month-old daughter. So our daughter is now a 5th-generation resident of University Place. And my mom, Pam Brobeck Valley, also lives here in the house where my grandmother once lived in the Brobeck addition. So a little about the family. Here you see a family tree, and I think you also have a copy with you, down through the great-great-grandchildren of John and Anna Brobeck. In 1931, after immigrating from Norway, my great-grandparents, John and Anna Brobeck, along with their 7 children, purchased 20 acres of land off of Bridgeport Way and started to build the Brobeck homestead. They farmed oats, tomatoes, as you heard about, and corn. They tended the fruit orchard, along with raising cows, pigs, chickens. It truly was a family homestead, with multiple generations living and working together, shaping not only their own legacy, but also the legacy of the broader community of University Place. And this is my great-grandfather, John Brobeck. Their oldest son, Bert, my grandfather, then purchased an adjacent property of another 20 acres where he built his home. And that property is where Homestead Park is now located. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Next in line is Larry Storsett.
Thank you for letting us speak to you tonight. I'm Larry Storsett. I'm from Gig Harbor, Washington. I grew up here on the Broback homestead. I am the son of Marie Broback Storsett and Norman Storsett, class of 1966. We are now sitting just north of the Broback property that was purchased in 1931 and by my grandfather, John Broback, which was 20 acres. And then another 20 acres was purchased by my uncle Bert Broback, the total 40 acres, which we call the Broback homestead. My grandfather immigrated from Norway in the late 1920s without his family in order to find work and to find a home for his family in America. In 1930, my grandmother Anna, with their 4 daughters, Ida, Marie, Alfild, and Dagny, and 2 sons, Bert and Muntz, immigrated to join John in Tacoma, then moving to University Place. This photo shows the family shortly before they left Norway. This next photo shows John and Anna Broback on the steps of their new house with all 4 daughters and their 2 sons, Bert and Art. Muntz, their 3rd son, had passed away in 1953. This assessor's map in the early 1950s shows the original 40 acres and all of the homes and barn built on the property by our families, a joint effort in which all participated. My mother, Marie Broback, and Norman Storsett built 2 homes on the property, the first where I lived for 1 year before we moved to San Diego, returning in 1953. The second home included University Place Cleaners, which my parents operated for over 20 years. My brother Terry and his wife Linda then operated the Cleaners for the next 11 years. There were 6 children in our family, 5 brothers and 1 sister, all graduating from Curtis High School. Another Broback daughter, Alfild, and her husband Warren Lee also built a home on the property. They had 3 sons and 2 daughters. Bert and Mabel Broback built their home on their 20 acres. They had a son and 3 daughters, all graduating from Curtis High School. This map shows the original homestead overlaid with the current configuration of the town center property with the roads and structures, which include City Hall. These maps are provided to you for reference along with the family tree. Thank you.
Next is Becky Broback Connolly.
Hi, I'm Becky Broback, and I'm the daughter of Art Broback, graduate of Curtis from 1977. The Broback cousins grew up in University Place during the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. The Broback homestead was our playground. Everyone at school referred to the homestead property as the Broback Field. It was a place to meet up, ride bikes, pick blackberries, ice skate on the pond, and maybe get up to no good. During our time living in University Place, most people knew the Broback family name from all the Broback cousins in the UP schools, starting with Barb Broback and Carmen Storsett, who were in the first graduating class of Curtis in 1962, through 26 years later with Jill Broback, and graduated in 1988. And through our involvement in activities and our parents' community involvement, people knew the Brobacks. Marie Broback and Norm Storsett were the only dry cleaners in town, and everyone loved them. Bert Broback, along with his brother Muntz, carried on the family tradition of boat building with the family company Pacific Boat Building Company, and was well known in that industry. This is one of my favorite photos. It's my dad up on his brother's truck, the boat building truck, doing the hay, and this barn was pretty much right back there. Thank you.
Wow. The next is Heidi Broback Roundtree.
Hello, everyone. I'm Heidi Broback Roundtree, Curtis High School class of 1976. My father, Art Broback, the youngest child of John and Anna, was probably the most known to many here. He was more than just a longtime resident, though. He was a child of this land. Art went to University Place Elementary School, and he told us the story of how in 1940, his principal, George Curtis, had all the kids go outside and watch the original Narrows Bridge collapse. As a UP student, Art was able to witness history unfold and recognize the importance of it. In 1960, Art had a preliminary plat engineered for the Broback homestead. As you can see, Town Center would have been a residential development, part of the Broback addition that is east of us here. Instead, Art had a vision to create a town center for University Place. He developed Windmill Village, which is the current home of Town Center. It was his desire to have a community center for commerce and social events in University Place for all residents to appreciate, preserving the space so that years later people enjoyed the quality of life you all have come to be proud of. Our dad, Art Broback, was a developer and a smart businessman, but he also gave back to the community and he cared deeply for its history and future. Art gave his time generously and was a powerful influence for the growth and progress of University Place, as recorded in a proclamation from the University Place Council in 2012. That proclamation noted that he was a lifetime community servant and listed an important achievement. He was one of the founders and a member of the University Place Community Council responsible for the city's incorporation. Our entire Broback family is passionate about preserving the history of University Place, understanding that a town's story is only as strong as the people who choose to remember and celebrate it. It would be a tremendous acknowledgement for the city of University Place and its preservation of history and Norwegian heritage to name the park Broback Homestead Park. What is a homestead without a family? Thank you very much.
I don't have anybody else listed here, but before I close, is there anyone else present here from the public that would like to come up and have any comments? Okay, none coming forward. I'll close the public comments at this time. And thank you all. We'll move on to consent agenda, and I'm calling for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any objection? Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. And we'll move on to item number 7, city manager and council comments and reports. And we'll start with city manager Steve Sugg.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This Thursday kicks off the Orchard Concert Series at Current Orchard Park. This is a free concert series that happens on every other Thursday, Thursdays starting this Thursday, and then the 31st of July, August 7th, August 14th, and August 21st. This is a free concert, and there's the band shell there is going to have some great music. I think the band is called the Gigsters, melodic rock. It should be great. But again, it starts this Thursday. The series starts this Thursday at 6:30 at the Current Orchard Park, and we look forward to the kickoff of the series. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll start with, for City Council, Mr. Boykin.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a fairly short report. Just wanted to express my excitement for the opportunity to have essentially a retreat opportunity for the City Council. Thought we got a lot of good work accomplished. Last time I had an opportunity to think on those things, as well as being able to be confident that the city is, once again, as I think about the members on this council, we're in good hands. That's the extent of my report.
Okay. Ms. McCluskey.
Thank you, Mayor. I, too, was at the retreat, and I concur with Councilmember Boykin's comments and the review of the goals. And if we had to write this sail on the ship. You know, we had that opportunity to express ourselves then, but there's an impressive list of goals and impressive list of accomplishments, and some of the goals are not quite there yet, but others are pretty close to being completed for our 25-26 goals. And so the staff is working extraordinarily hard, so we should all be proud of them. And all their thoughtful work and intelligence, and also the consultants that come together to make our council goals come to fruition for our city's benefit. And I would like to thank the Broback family and the YMCA and anyone else here. So I thank you for coming and giving your public comment, because that's why we have public comment, is for you to voice your opinions, your concerns, and your commentary, and it's extremely important for our democratic process. So thank you for engaging in that. That's it.
Mayor Pro Tem Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. So a couple quick things. Again, council retreat, I won't go over the ground. I just thought it was very well done, and I really appreciate the work the city staff put into preparing for the retreat and the work they've done towards achieving council goals. So thank you all. I'd like to thank everybody for being here. I love it when I see people out here in this room. Sometimes it's a little concerning, depending if it's a bad thing, but this doesn't sound like it. So it's great to see people out here who are just engaging to make our city a better place. So thank you all for that. And then finally, I hope to see everybody out at the Twisted Cider 5K this Saturday. So I encourage everybody to come. How many was it? 700 something people have registered for it now. So it's 5K, 12K, starting at the current apple orchard, and encourage you all to come out. You can sign up, I think, at the last minute if you want to. So, all right. So thank you.
Are you running it?
I am running it.
All right. 5K or 12?
Just the 5.
That's not just.
Yeah, very good.
Yep.
Councilmember Worthington.
Thank you, Mayor. It was, I enjoyed hearing the comments this evening, our public comments. I appreciated the fact that it was so well organized, and the timing was impeccable. That was impressive. So well done, but good information, and I feel better informed through all of that. Thank you. I also enjoyed the retreat, the subject we covered, and I'm glad this evening's agenda is picking up many of those subjects for us to move on to the next steps. Outside of that, that's my comments, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and like all others, I'll be short, but I will echo some of the comments. I felt the council retreat is always an educational opportunity for all of us, but what I would like to say is that it's also a public meeting, and we got people here. I'd love to have them come to the retreat sometimes, because there's great information that we share and go over. The second thing is, I just want to say, thank you so much to the Broback family. And I'll tell you, I came in the chamber tonight with one opinion, and I'll be walking out with a different one. It's quite educational, informative, and I appreciate y'all taking the time to share that information. The only update I have for council is I did attend the SHAPE meeting, just keeping y'all in the loop. We reviewed the 2026 work plan. It's up for a vote in August. Along with that, we talked about, ADUs and the property tax exemption program. If you recall, we had that here at UP. Oh gosh, it would have been where it was last fall, I think it was, for citizens to come and learn about their eligibility for tax exemption on their properties. That's been a SHAPE program. They're looking to transfer that over to the county assessor's office at this point, although they'll continue to support that. Again, looking at continued planning for affordable housing, and then looking to fund a project with the city of Fife. I guess you would know more about this stuff, about the levy board proposal plans that they have there. Short of that, it was a great meeting, and there's a bunch of other stuff, but not really all that significant to council here. So that's all I have tonight. So thank you.
Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to say an additional thank you to the Broback family and for being here and so well prepared, but also the love that you poured into this. I could tell this was a wonderful family project, that you've taken the time to dive in deep, and as those projects go, you come together more as a family, and we as a community benefit from your time spent together. So I want to thank you for your legacy. I grew up hearing of stories of Art Broback from my father, Ken, who had a lot of interaction with him over the years. So legacy is important to me, and I want to say thank you for your legacy that you've invested here in University Place and for being here. It means so much. Also, of course, like to echo the sentiments of our special meeting that is public. I echo Councilmember Fleming's sentiments. Please, we'd love to have people in chambers for all of those, but thank you to staff for making that retreat effective, and really, I feel like we moved the ball down the field, so to speak, on a lot of our goals, and it was a great productive time, so wonderful to be a part of that. I also attended Music on the Square last Wednesday, so thank you to staff and people that come out for that. My kiddos loved it. The splash pad was open. We had great music, beautiful evening. So Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, I believe that was just a great time, and then we're looking forward, of course, to Orchard music as well this week. I also want to thank the city of Fircrest. They warmly welcomed me to celebrate their centennial 100-year celebration on Saturday, and they had a great parade and Fircrest Fun Days, and I was honored to be welcomed there and also to celebrate with our wonderful neighbors, Fircrest. They have just achieved a wonderful community for 100 years, and I hope that we can say the same of ours in future years to come, but congratulations to Fircrest and the residents. They're wonderful neighbors. I also want to say thank you to a couple of businesses. Central Pantry, that's new in our town center here. I got some time with their owner this week, and I'm so proud of our small business community. They are the backbone of our community, and Essential Pantry has been a great addition to town center, and I just want to encourage the community to know that they're there, they're open, they're ready to serve. And also a special thank you to Five Guys, also out here in our town center. They will be donating all of the lunch for our peer-to-peer training for our officers happening on Wednesday right here in council chambers, and they were happy to do so, and I'm just so grateful that we have great business partners that can support our public safety team and our officers. I'm so thankful for them. Visit Five Guys as well, and then just a reminder of our 30th birthday celebration happening on August 23rd. I know calendars get busy, but our community watches this, and we're going to have a great celebration. Staff has poured out so much time. We have sponsors coming in, and I know that we're going to have a great community celebration. So August 23rd, I'm looking forward to it. And that is all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for the last few comments, for the council, Matt Kaser and I had a follow-up call with the Ukrainian consulate based on our direction from the retreat. And what came from that is that he appreciated, he asked me what was the concerns or issues. I expressed that to him clearly, and he asked me if he would be able to follow up on that so that it could be presented to the council, so that that might be a way to come together on an agreement. And so he plans to be sending a clear answering all the concerns and issues to his best of his ability that would maybe help us to go over that hump. So that happened, and I told him we were pretty busy here, but I told him maybe in October, November after that we could entertain that in a way that we can give it some time. Next is sewer projects. This is for the public and even those that live in UP here, but there's quite a few sewer projects going on in UP. Please read the notices, the letters that you get in the mail for whoever's listening on the television, but please really listen to that, because there will be delays on your street. And so if you're in a hurry to get to work, to a doctor's appointment, or whatever, give some time so you don't get frustrated and mad at the city for putting in sewers at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, and then lastly, just a tidbit of history here. Art Broback was a good friend of mine. He was actually a good friend of my wife's family, Dr. James Lucy, who took care of, he was his dentist for like 35, 40 years. My wife was his dental hygienist for about 30 years. So we got to know Art through my family, through my wife's family quite well. So still, he actually, it's like many families, they touch so many other families. So anyway, we'll move on to our study session. And the first item is number 8. University Place School District Interlocal Agreement. And our staff is our City Attorney and Jack Eklund, our Public Works Director.
I can start. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. I'm Jack Eklund, Public Works Director, and tonight with City Attorney Matt Kaiser, we'll be bringing to you a study of interlocal agreement with the school district for the use of school district facilities to accommodate a youth sports program. Now, in your packet, you'll find a copy of the proposed interlocal agreement, as well as a memo that summarizes the essentially deal points of the agreement itself. Now, this agreement does allow the city to use designated school facilities for the use for the purpose of youth sports programs, also with a waiver of any facility fees. Under the agreement, the city would be responsible for any costs associated with cleanup or repair or damage of those facilities that arise from the youth sports program. The agreement also allows for or provides that the school district may include promotional material for any youth sports program in their communication methods. It also we do still have to, under this agreement, comply with the scheduling rules and procedures and coordinate reservations through the school district channels. And then the city may assign under this, with the school district's written assent, its rights for the purpose of the youth sports program to a third party. And then in the term of this is set up right now as a 4-year term. However, it does provide for extension of this with a mutually agreed upon written agreement. So that's kind of a quick overview of it. I don't know, Matt, do you have anything to add?
I'll just add real quick on this. In terms of interlocals, this council's seen a number of interlocals over the years. This is a relatively short, it's a relatively straightforward interlocal. What Jack summarized in terms of the deal points, this is one of those interlocals anybody can pick up and take a look at and read. So there's not a lot to it. The one point just simply to emphasize is your counterparts at the school board have already approved this agreement, which they did at their meeting on the 9th of this month. So with that, we're happy to turn matters back over to council and answer any questions you may have.
Council?
Any comments or questions?
So, Councilmember McCluskey?
Well, it is a straightforward agreement. I really don't have any questions. It's a sweeter interlocal than what we had before. So congratulations, and also a big thank you to the UP School District for opening up this opportunity with the whole feel and flavor of this is that they're excited about it too, which I think is wonderful. And this is really the cornerstone of the arch of bridging UP Rec with an outside organization for rec. This is so strategic. It is also strategic in it will grow the interest in certain sports for our school district sports, which I think one of the sports directors was really excited about that as well, because there's been a loss of interest, especially with the local students within the school district. And so this will renew that spark in strategic sports, which is hopefully listed with the organization that we partner with. It is also, if they don't want to do sports, they'll be enjoying the community and activity and, health and wellness, right? That's one of our goals. It's all part of living a healthy lifestyle and encouraging activities in a cell phone-centric world. So I am ecstatic, and I can't wait to give my consideration to this. And thank you, kudos to staff as well.
Thank you. Councilmember McCluskey? Excuse me.
Want me to speak
No. Councilmember Grassi?
Thank you. I'd be happy to be confused with Councilmember McCluskey any day, so thank you, Mayor. Thank you, staff, for making this. I know I've been a pain asking about this as well, but thank you, and to the UP School District. I think this is just, and I want to echo Councilmember McCluskey's comments, this is a major stepping stone and building block to bring youth sports back to our community and recreation, and so I see this as just the proper, wonderful first step, and I'm really excited about it. I do have a question as far as promotional material. UP School District may, but is not required to, include promotional materials in its communication. Did they give any reference where they would not include it? Did we talk about any of their publications as far as Peachtree or their quarterly newsletter or anything where they felt like there may be a pause there? Because I do see promotional materials through the school district as one of our greatest assets.
They certainly they want to put that in there because they recognize that that's an asset to be able, because they have a lot of great communication channels out there. But where they added the not required to, ultimately they just have the right to, for whatever reason it doesn't fit with whatever they're putting out at a given time, volume wise or material, for whatever reason, they ultimately, since it is their communication channel, have the right to say we don't feel we want to include this or not. But they didn't indicate that they foresaw that as something happen often, but they wanted to reserve their right to be able to basically control the communication they sent out.
I guess I would echo or come back with saying I would hope our communications team would put their timelines for their publications on high priority for us, so we make sure that we do meet those deadlines, because I would hate for the answer to be, well, we didn't get it in time, we didn't get it to them, So I hope that as our communication team grows and this grows in, that can be part of our regular rhythm. So I look forward to that, but thank you for your work, and looking forward to supporting this as well.
Councilmember Worthington?
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Actually, I haven't asked to be recognized.
Oh, I thought I had. I thought you had.
I think it was
okay.
Councilmember.
So I'll move on if you're fine. Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, and I know I look just like Councilmember Worthington.
No, I thought he raised his hand.
There you go. But hey, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say, Jack, I echo the comments, but I know this is but one piece of a bigger program that we're putting together for the citizens of University Place to get that sports and rec programs back into the city. So I applaud that effort. I just had a question for Matt, and you were right. You said we look at a lot of interlocal agreements, but as I recall those are usually like 40, 50 pages or something of mumbo-jumbo legalese. How did you get all this into 2 pages? This is a record, for lawyers, and I just want to say I appreciate it for once, and it's straight and to the point, as others have said, and I just wish all our agreements could be like this.
So do I. But here's the secret, and unfortunately, because we're being recorded, the secret's out. I didn't write this one.
Is that why this is good?
That's why. Otherwise, you'd have 40 to 50 pages worth of mumbo jumbo.
I'm glad you didn't write it.
No. The thing is, though, when we began this process, and it's identified in the company memorandum, we had the agreement that went back to 2001. When we started this, we took a look at the 2001 agreement. We noted this thing still from our end appears to be technically in effect. Nobody bothered to cancel it. So why don't we just clean up the 2001 agreement and call it good? And so we did. And when we pushed out our draft pieces on that, it was maybe 7 or 8 pages worth of markups on that. And the school districts, in the course of the conversation said, hey, wait, we think there's probably an easier way to do this. And we said, okay, let's see what we got. And so that easier way is what you see in front of you tonight.
Well, then I applaud the school district for their work.
So I wish I could claim brilliance behind a 2-page interlocal. I can't.
Although I would add that I believe it's based on, the format's based on the SRO contract, which I think that is.
That is something I may have written.
So
squeeze that credit in there one way or another, right? Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Good. Mayor Pro Tem Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. again, I'm just very excited about this. I want to thank UP City staff for the work they put into this, UP School District staff and their board for their willingness to work with us on trying to make this happen. I've heard the word cornerstone, first step, other things. The word I'd written down was linchpin. This really is essential to bringing UP youth sports back to something where it was. So I just really appreciate everybody's effort. I'm very excited to support. Thank you.
Councilmember Boykin.
Mr. Mayor, at the intent of being redundant, this is just excellent. It is exactly what you want to see when there's an intentional effort to ensure that the city is a city of destination by looking at this quality of life, being concerned with what the residents have been concerned with. It is the worst kept secret that there's been some curiosity, I'll say, about a sports and rec program that would be the City of University Place. And the first step in making sure that that is a reality is what has been shared tonight. So excited about all the partners, the critical partners that can move that forward, and really appreciative of what it means as we look specifically at a better quality of life and the health aspect and incentive that comes along with a sports and rec program that can be centered in the City of University Place.
Councilmember Worthington, last call.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, and I guess I will jump in and make a comment then. I just didn't have a question, but I did want to make a comment. And the comment is, like Councilmember McCluskey, I feel this document speaks or has I think you said, a feeling and flavor of cooperation. And I think that's very true. And I see that as a very affirmative statement and one that I sense as well. So that cooperation is, I think, well placed, and I certainly want to be supportive of that. It's great to find a two-page document. It's even greater to know the district has already approved this, and so it makes this process quite easy. I look forward to voting affirmatively with it soon.
Okay. My comments is I really believe it's in the spirit of the public, our citizens, and that is for government to work together, school district to work with the city government, and city to work with the school district or with our fire district. That's in the spirit that we're doing this, and it's working really well. So I'm really happy with that. That being said, I believe the comments that were gave us direction to move forward for it to come back for action. Correct? Do you need any other direction? Okay. We'll move on to...
I do have a question.
Oh, excuse me.
If I may.
Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Seeing really no real objections on this one, is it possible just to move this to a consent agenda?
That's a good point. And any objection to putting it on the consent agenda?
None at all.
None at all. So that's where we'll put it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to item number 9, YMCA Youth Recreation Program. And we have Jack Eklund as our Public Works Director as a staff presentation. Oh, and we also have, YMCA Pierce and Kitsap Counties, Jose Garros. I'll let you introduce yourself, okay?
Jose Garros.
Okay, and our regional director is as a regional executive director, and Jared Johnson, the executive director. Okay, Jack.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. As you mentioned, I'm Jack Eklund, Public Works Director, and with me from the YMCA are Jared Johnson, the Executive Director, and Jose Grosby, Operations Director. Tonight, we're bringing to you for study an exciting opportunity for a partnership between the YMCA and the City of University Place to bring youth recreation services back into the community. Before I turn this over to Jared and Jose, though, I would like to direct you to your council package. You'll find the draft proposal from the YMCA for this program. And then, actually, without further ado, I think we'll just turn it over to you guys.
Our draft program proposal is pretty straightforward when it comes to youth sports. And we're looking at 3 seasons, multiple sports, and we would be delivering the program, and we would be registering. We would be developing the coaches, and we would be working through the interlocal that you guys will most likely approve to get access into the gyms, into the fields. So it's pretty straightforward on that. We do have some things that we need to work out in regards to branding for UP and the Y, what it looks like, what we want to call it. And we also have to take a look a little bit about how we go about marketing this out to the UP folks. You know, we were looking at offering UP residents the same rate that we do for Y Sports. I mean, in our building, it's structured the same way. And we have many members from UP that are in there too, so they're familiar with our program, which brings a nice caveat. You saw the timeline on that. We're not locked into that timeline at all. As a matter of fact, we're behind on that at this point anyway. And so there's a lot of stuff that needs to get worked out before we deliver. We're not going to deliver until both sides are ready to go, and we're comfortable with how we're doing. No need to rush on this. It's been, 10 years or so? I coached here, by the way, and my kids played here. I lived here for a little while. I no longer do. So I have a fondness for UP. So there you have it. We're open to questions.
Jack, do you have any more presentation before we turn it over?
Yeah, just kind of just do a quick kind of overview of what they're looking at providing. So it'd be looking at 3 seasons of a sports leagues initially. So it'd be a winter, spring, fall league. The winter would be proposed to have youth basketball services, ages or league ages 5 to 12. Then the spring you'd have a T-ball coach pitch league, which would be ages 5 to 8. Soccer league in the spring 5 to 12. And then the fall, the proposal would be to have another soccer league, ages 5 to 12, a girls volleyball league, is that a little older, probably 8 to 12, probably. And also a cross-country league, 5 to 12. The proposed rate structure would be $95 for those sports programs for either UP residents or YMCA members, and then $190 for non-residents. Now this compares to back in 2015 when we had a youth sports program. Our last year we operated our recreation program, we were at between $75 and $80 for the resident rate. So it's not too out of line with 10 years later to be at about $15 higher than that. And then in the summer, the proposal would also include running a series of summer clinics that would feature youth sports of basketball, soccer, volleyball, that sort of thing. The summer clinics would right now have a proposed rate a little less than the sport leagues, at about $65 for the resident YMCA, $130 for non-residents. And then this is the timeline that Jose mentioned. This is if we were to, I think this would be aggressive to make it for the winter because we do have to get an agreement in place. And like Jose mentioned, we do want to make sure we're all very anxious to get this going as soon as possible, but we also want to make sure we're doing it in the way that's going to be the most successful in the long run. So, and I know Matt down there also wants to make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, and I know Jared has some folks that want to do that too. So, but overall, very exciting, and it's whether we make the winter or it's next spring to start, it's really identifying something that makes the most sense and make sure that we have all the ducks in a row to make it as successful as possible. And I don't know, anything, Jared, do you want to add? Or
I was just going to share, Councilmember McCluskey shared a little bit earlier about this idea of collaboration. And I think when we look at this from the WISE perspective, partnering with a local municipality, that's one of the things that's really attractive. It's adaptable. We can listen to the residents of University Place in terms of what do they want to see in terms of programming. So while this may be kind of in pencil, depending on what the community truly wants, we can adapt to those needs in terms of looking at sports or programming that could fulfill their desires and needs. And that's one of the things that we at the Y look to with our membership base as well. So I think it's a great opportunity to collaborate. We currently serve about 2,500 household members in our YMCA Pierce and Kitsap counties, both between here the Pearl Street Y, which I run, and our Lakewood Family Y, which neighbor both University Place. So I'm very excited about the opportunity that it could provide the residents. I too participated when I was a kid in baseball through University Place, so I have very fond memories of that as a local resident as well.
And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. So first, just thank you for being here and for your willingness to work with the City of UP on this. This is something we've been trying to do for years and years and years, and have never come up with a way that we could do it that made financial sense and also would actually work for our city. So really appreciate your willingness to work with us. I know it's in pencil right now, but I look forward to the days when he can get his 40-page agreement put together and we can go forward from there. As far as the initial plan, like if you're looking for feedback, I think your initial layout looks good. Like you said, we got to start somewhere, and we can listen to the community, see what they want to support, and where they want to grow from here. But I think as an initial layout, this looks great. Can't tell you how excited I am that we're doing this. I do have one question for you, and this is for the both of you. You said we're already a little bit behind the power curve to do a winter league. When is our decision points for, we have to have a decision by the Y and us, by what date, so that we can start a winter league or a spring league or whatever our timeline is, so we can incorporate that into our scheduling timeline?
I don't think we can give you a clear, this is the start time if we have everything in a row. We have to work through with your city staff in regards to website and communication and all that kind of stuff. So if both parties said, yes, let's go, I think we'd have to be able to figure that out first and then have a timeline. I'd feel more comfortable with that instead of saying, here, let's start over here, and then we get slowed down in whatever in regards to how we look on your website, how you look on our website with the branding and all that, and all the marketing too.
No, I get that. I'm just wondering if there's, I'm assuming all that will be worked out before we actually start the actual publicizing of the leagues or this program.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to know, is like, if we have a decision, I'll throw something out, by October 30th from both people, does that put us in position for a winter league or spring league? Or is there, I mean, it doesn't have to be an exact date, but just...
It would put us more in spring.
Spring league, okay,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
Yeah, generally you'd want to have at least, so you need, before the league begins, you'd have probably about 2 months of registration period. And then we'd want to do, especially when we start, at least 2 months of marketing before that, just to build that. So you're looking at least 4 months. Once you have everything in a row, all the communication pieces, all that, ready to launch the marketing campaign. So that's where, and it may be, maybe you can do that in a month after all the contracts are, but that's also kind of aggressive. But probably, like I think we're running out of time for the winter. I think we'd almost have to do that next week, for the agreement, which may not happen. But it does give us some extra time for spring, because the spring league would probably start at, spring, usually registration in February. So, we'd want to start our marketing by, November, December kind of thing. So, October may not be a bad target for the spring. Then it gives us time to build the marketing campaign and stuff.
All right, much appreciated.
Okay, the next one is, Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Jose and Jared, thank you so much for being here tonight. So appreciate both of you, and certainly to the Y and CA for stepping up to the plate and bringing this proposal to us. I know when I joined council plus minus 6 years ago, one of the things that I heard from constituents at that time was how much they wanted a Parks and Rec program or a sports program. I know we've had numerous conversations about that, but the fact that the pieces now are beginning to come together, I find that extremely exciting. Whether we start in the winter or start in the spring, the fact that we've got something on the table that we can feel and touch and work with, I think is exciting for everyone. I likewise have a couple of quick questions. One is the branding. Originally it was my understanding we're branding this as a UP program. Is that still the same feeling, Jack?
That certainly is the intent would be a UP program, but also then basically University Place Park and Recreation by the YMCA kind of thing. But like Jose, how is it marketed? And that still has to be worked out exactly. But I kind of think of it, the headline is still UP, the byline is YMCA, but they're both on the marketing and both prominently, because this also, one of the advantages for the Y is it is a way to get an entry point to get people into the program too, which is obviously a desire for the YMCA too. So we really view this as a win-win for both the city and the Y, not just for youth sports, but for overall for all program development type of things.
Okay. My second question is on cost comparisons, what we're charging for residents and non-residents. How does that compare with our surrounding cities and towns and their programs?
So the rate is close to what, say, Metro Parks charges or Parks Tacoma. It's not too far off, but Lakewood it is still a little more expensive than Furcrest. Furcrest is operating at about let's see, they're around 65 for for the non-residents, and so it'd be equivalent for us. But they are looking at increasing their rates, so they may be closer to 70 or 75. But they have a different structure and different things. But most other agencies, this is very similar to.
When you were saying Metro in Lakewood, do you know what their pricing is?
It does vary on programs, so I don't have that handy in front of me, but it depends on, they have a kind of a, by age group and programming, it varies across the board.
Okay. If I could trouble you to get that for me at some point. My last question is, and this just may be semantics, but when we read this beautiful document, the UP School District Agreement, it talks about this agreement between the UP School District and the City of University Place, access to the fields and other facilities. It does not mention that we can, it's not subletting, but subcontracting, I guess. I don't know what the right term is, but I love what we're doing, but can we I guess it's a Matt question. Can we allow?
It's
paragraph 12.
Yeah, it's in paragraph 12 of the agreement there.
Perfect. I like it. Thank you very much. That answers my third question. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, both of you, for being here, and to the Y for what you bring to our community. And I just appreciate both of you being here from the first time that Councilmember McCluskey and I were able to meet with you, and then this is all consistent with what your original intent was. So I want to say thank you for your work you've put into this. Also, for those that are watching and listening tonight in our community, we had an extensive time to study this and speak regarding this proposal at our special meeting retreat last week as a council, and so we were able to do kind of a deeper dive as well into that. So, but a couple of things. I just want to, you, Jack or Jared, said you would start promoting for spring sports in November. Is that accurate?
December would be.
December would be.
It depends, yeah. But
I'm asking because I would push all weight I have to say pedal to the metal to try to get this for winter. I think that, yes, Jose, we haven't had them for quite a while, but which is my urgency. The community has asked and asked and has continued to ask. When I talk to families with kids, please, 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 youth sports. I think if anything that we can do to get this to winter, I would be for. We've talked, we've analyzed, we've rolled it around. I know marketing is huge, branding is huge. I think a big rollout is huge. I think our 30th anniversary celebration to announce this to our whole community in August, on August 23rd, when we have thousands of people, would be great announcement for the Y and for us. I think there's a lot of incentive to put pedal to the metal here. So I know I'm just one voice, but I would just encourage us to do as much as we can to speed up that deadline. I know things can get delayed easily, but we've talked, we've planned, we can do it. So whatever we need to do. Also, your mission statement, can you talk just a little bit about the mission of the Y? Either one of you, just for those that are watching and listening, because it speaks so highly to why this is just such a wonderful partnership for our city and community.
Yeah, so the YMCA mission statement for both the national organization, YMCA of the USA, and our local association, YMCA Pearson-Kitsap Counties, is to put Christian principles into practice through programs that build healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. And I think the beauty of the Y is that in and of itself, it's the whole person. It's not just the physical aspects. A lot of people think of the Y as a swim and gym, but so much of our programming speaks and works at developing the whole person in their spirit through programs just of finding community and connection with their broader community, and also through the mind with just with the mental health struggles that our communities are seeing throughout these days. We're constantly adapting to fit the needs and to fill the needs of the community, and that's really at the heart of our mission is to think of the whole community, not just from a physical standpoint. But I think that's where this really aligns with the mission of University Place and how we look at expanding into communities like this, is to make sure that we're not just thinking of youth sports, but how are we impacting kids? How are we impacting youth? How are we bettering their lives through our programs? So we talk a lot through our programs about our 4 core values, which are honesty, respect, caring, and responsibility. And those are integrated into all of our programs through value talks at the beginning of our sports games. Our referees and coaches lead those conversations. Just as a small plug to get them thinking about how do we show respect to the kids that we're playing against? How are we responsible in this environment? So I think that's, hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, absolutely. And then just a little bit of expansion. You said that you'd be able to adapt to the needs of our community and how that grows. You want to just talk a little bit about the other programs that we could offer if this, moves forward and could grow from just these sports leagues to other things that you offer as well?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of opportunities specifically within our youth programs. We run our sports leagues, our skills and drills classes. Our summer day camp programming is another big program that we can do from a youth perspective. And then we think of like late night, our teen program that we run through on Friday nights and in partnership with the Tacoma School District, Monday through Friday during the summer the last 3 years. So from the youth perspective, it's pretty expansive in terms of what we could do. I know we have pools and an aquatic space, but there could be opportunity in that sector as well if there was desire. But then you think of our active older adult communities. Like when I talked about 2,500 UP residents, those aren't just kids. Those are active older adults that are looking to find community and be healthy. And our insurance-based memberships and programs that we offer to from a health and wellness perspective, group exercise, and even social groups. So when I talk about the Y adapting to the community, it's a lot of that constantly. If you were to come over to our facility now, you'd see our converted racquetball courts. So back in the 70s, we had 15 racquetball courts in our space, but no one plays racquetball at the rate they do anymore. Pickleball might be that new piece, right? But I think the opportunity to expand is pretty extensive, serving the broad spectrum of the community as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted also our community here. The value for youth, obviously, but also the ability to serve our seniors, which I think is a wonderful opportunity for us as well. So thank you both again for being here. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Councilmember McCluskey.
All right, thank you. I'm so excited to see both of you here talking about the possibility of bringing a recreational program back to University Place. It's been since pre-COVID we've been talking about this. And so I'm just kind of giddy and just over the moon that could be a possibility, and especially with the YMCA. I've been a past longtime member of the Y. I've seen both of you in action, and I know your skills and abilities, and also the YMCA. and what they do. They're a very inclusive community. You don't have to be Christian faith-based to participate in it. And whatever your economic barriers are, the YMCA, comes up to the plate and allows everyone that wants to have that opportunity to be a Y member, and to just having that opportunity to be exposed to just the YMCA and all of its plethora of programmings and its depth of expertise and the training that goes into each and every one of even the volunteer coaches and class leaders is, so excellent. And it dovetails quite nicely with the UP's visioning of how we grow into our community, and also all of your values about respect and responsibility and supporting the youth as well. So, and I like where you're talking about listening and leaning in to our UP residents so that you can grow the program that they are most interested in. Because as a council member, when I say whatever I say at that right time and it goes out the door, I want it to be successful for more than 3 years. I'm not looking to pull back on the program after we had to cut the program in around 2015. I want it to be sustainable and long-term, and there's a little caveat into that where you're looking at some long-term possibilities. And I do concur pickleball is the next phase, even for youth. They're picking it up. I just recently read an article about youth and pickleball, so I think you're right on track with that. And I concur with Councilmember Grassi. We want the winter program. If you were to go to our 30th anniversary and you have your big banner with UP Sports, you will be the most popular tent in town, I guarantee. So, and with that and all the amenities that you're going to bring, I mean, you've been around for well over 100 plus years. You've been through all your ups and downs. You're seasoned and you're sustainable, and you're a strong continuing organization. So thank you so much for your interest in a partnership with City of University Place to get a stronger foothold in UP and grow your programming and your membership here. Thank you for that opportunity.
Councilmember Worthington.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to, first off, express my appreciation for you being here tonight. You've taken time away from your family, your evening. Perhaps you had something else planned for Monday night. But thank you for being here. It was very helpful for me, and I think for our public as well, just to be able to get some firsthand understanding about this potential agreement. And I look forward to also considering this in the very near future, I hope. That's the end of my comments. I'm all for moving this on to being able to vote on it.
Any last comments on Boykin? Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make sure that I affirm the obvious. There is an excitement and an eagerness. We're not anxious, but an eagerness about how to move this forward. There has been an unsettling that has come about for those who had to be without, and we've been pretty candid about that too, whether it's a reference to a decade or whether it's 10 minutes. There is an ownership opportunity in our own incentive for healthy lives, and there's also a really great way for us to demonstrate what we believe to be great partnership. What excites me about constantly making sure I reference the city of University Place as a city of destination is because the residents see it that way. And they see it that way by how they build, everything from infrastructure to their own lives. And this has been a building opportunity, again, for their own lives. So I cannot underemphasize the importance of what a partnership look like for as quickly as possible. I'm also, again, tempering that with an old African proverb that says, if you want to go somewhere fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So we are invested in a partnership, the right partnership at the right time. But please make no mistake, we are as eager to get this thing on as anything that would be good and healthy for our families, good and healthy for our community. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving us the particulars. And I really, really hope that we can get this moving as quickly as possible. Thank you, Mayor.
Hey. You know, I played many, many, many hours of racquetball in your facility. I think I left some DNA and blood on that floor. So, know it well. What I'm hearing, hopefully you're hearing, is that we have a very proactive council that believes and wants to provide recreational activities in our city. It's just the spirit of our community. And so with our own name on it, along with yours, that anxiousness doesn't mean we go so fast that we don't cross the T's and dot the I's and protect our citizens, protect your board, your facility, everything that needs to be protected, so that we don't look back and say, I wish we would have thought about that because we were rushing. Certainly, we don't want to put you in a position of coming back and says, well, you wanted it fast, and now this is the consequence. Please, let's do it right the first time. And that being said, I'm looking for direction here, council, and that is that I think there's a lot of details that I believe this council, and if I get it wrong, you guys speak up, but I believe that this council is interested in hearing the marketing, the communication. Is it going to be the spring, which I really see that happening. And all the details goes with all this that we would vote on initially. Do we need another study session? I'm going to ask actually staff first, but I'm thinking that we would, as first direction, we would come back for a study session just to give us an update of where this is. Once you're about ready to bring it for council action, is to bring it forth as a report/study session, just to make sure that they covered everything that we see as a council, and then we give them the last direction to bring it forward for council action. Is that about right? Councilmember Fleming?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is just one person speaking. We've studied this to death. I like what I see. I think my preference, if I had one, would be to just ask staff to put this into a legislative document that we can bring up for discussion and a vote and move it forward. And as I think Jack said earlier, it's like building the plane while it's in flight. They're going to be tweaking it along the way, but I think they got the bulk of the meat here and really what we're looking for. So I would rather just keep it moving versus having another study session, and that's just my comment, but for what it's worth.
So without any objection, would direction to come back with an agreement for us to take action be satisfactory to the council? Okay, I don't see any objection. So you need any other direction?
No, I think that's good. Then I think what we would do, my recommendation is we come back with an agreement, but then prior to enacting whatever the marketing campaign is, we would preview that with council, so you guys are all, that would be whether it's a study session or a presentation or something, but that would be after we've execute the contract, then we'd have that next step of, okay, we're getting ready to launch the marketing type of thing. So
sounds good.
Okay, and you have direction. Okay, and we are done. And thank you both.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you. The next one is item number 10. Legislative proposal renaming Homestead Park. Proponents are Councilmember McCluskey and Councilmember Boykin, who would provide a presentation and information. And then I would like to have, I don't see any staff, but I believe staff should be involved in this. Do we have any staff?
We can talk about post-presentation.
Okay. All right. So here we go. How do we do this here?
Okay. Can I take it?
Yes,
You run with
you're
it?
going to be taking it, okay.
Okay. I will do the first half of the presentation, and Councilmember Boykin will do the second half. And so we have a request by the University Place Historical Society to add the name of Broback to the Homestead Park. And this is up for a discussion whether the council wants to proceed with that request or not. That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. William Shakespeare. However, in this case, names do conjure emotions, imagery, and meaning. Names are not to be taken for granted or lightly. Personal names are thoughtful and can hold historical meanings that deepen our appreciation of who we are and where we belong and how we came to be. It's our collective story and what we have from the market square to once the place we called Windmill Village. And I haven't worked this little slide before, so I think I'm going to do an arrow. Right, this one? Oh, when that. Okay, so this is forward. Okay. All right, a little bit of logistics here. Okay, so we have slide 2, which is the agenda of our PowerPoint discussion to add the addition of the Broback family name to the Homestead Park signs, talking about the legacy, the legislative history, the considerations, the summary, and the questions. So go to the origins of the field, the Norwegian family that we had that discussion. Let's see, I have some more notes here. The origins of the Broback field and the Norwegian family with the Brobacks was pretty much stated in the public comments, with the evolution of the 40 to the 20-acre farmland and playground for family and friends to gather. The acreage of the Broback farm was a total of 40 acres, and it is now part of the town center and a viable business district. The legacy piece, we heard a little bit about it from the family. In 1840s, Norwegian immigration to the Northwest and into the United States that generated a huge fishing industry, farming, boat building, and logging. In the 1930s, Norwegian settlements in University Place came down from Seattle to Tacoma into UP, which helped launch the Broback Homestead legacy, as we heard in the public comments prior to our meeting. The evolved community engagement that directly benefited the city of UP and shaped its landscape. This legacy continues today in our economic development, our social enhancements, our park landscape, and cultural contributions that are outcomes of the vital role this immigrant community held within the Northwest and University Place. The Norwegians came here for religious freedom, economic hardship. There was an overpopulation apparently in Norway and in need of the fertile land availability, so they sought wealth and opportunity, and of course, wealth comes with land. So we had University Place that had intended to purchase the part of the Broback farm. It was initially going to be, as the family mentioned, a housing development. But the family changed its mind for a better community engagement and to establish a park, a central park. in the heart of our city. The transitions from this housing development to the town center parcel and park is noted in this, I think it's the UP Journal, our newspaper at the time. And it indicated that, as you see, we were talking about placing a carousel there at one time, but the housing of the carousel would have been too expensive, and the extent of the carousel probably would have taken up a lot of the park land. And as the family mentioned before, in this article, it stated it was a family farm that gathered other community members to enjoy their farm and lifestyle as well. It grew over 15,000 tomatoes. They had a expertise in building boats, and it was a place where if you wanted to play pickup football, that's where you got to play, but first you had to pick up the cow patties. So that always added to the family charm. Go to the next document. And this is the offer prior to the council approval to purchase the place that we had once called Windmill Village, all the way up to almost the city center, to incorporate as well as what we currently call Homestead Park. And this is the proclamation the family alluded to at the beginning of the meeting, in which we provided Art Brobeck with a proclamation that serves to acknowledge his generosity and selfishness per his skill set, value-added repairs also to the current house, and as a value-added member of the UP Historical Society. And this brings us to our council legislative proposal. So you got a lot of history, a lot of legacies, and we're to talk about resolutions next. But this request was brought to a couple of city council members. And so we needed 2 council members to move it forward because the UP Historical Society took a deeper dive into this and put their mindset in that it was value added for the history and the legacy of our city to have the renaming of Homestead Park. So Councilmember Boykin and I thought it was only fair to the UP Historical Society to have this discussion on the dais. And it would be a name review to honor a pioneer family that created a viable economic development open space to recreate and to enhance the quality of life in University Place. And with that, to talk about the resolutions and the processes that all came about and how we got here, I'm going to hand it over to Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you so much, Councilmember McCluskey. I'm going to encourage you to continue to support Exactly Right so that we can have an efficient way of ensuring this information moves forward. Oh, wow. You can be my council member. I like you a lot better, good, better, and different. So thank you so much for the assistance. I want to also thank the Brobeck family for the information that you shared during public comment. I think it's extremely important that there is perspective that's offered. And as Councilmember McCluskey alluded to, I want to also affirm that legislative proposals, for the most part, even though it is a way in which we engage, they're pretty rare.
Councilmember, we need a mic for you because that's not working.
Is there a problem?
There you go. Yeah, you need to get closer.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. Certainly want to be heard. I was alluding to remarks that Councilmember McCluskey had alluded to earlier, and I really wanted to encapsulate the expectation for legislative proposals, even though they are an instrument that we use within council to advance issues. They really are rare, but let me just for a moment digress and just affirm what that's about, is to to ensure that community, city, as well as the council get an opportunity to have issues before it, so that we have a way to not only look at what's importantly coming out of any of those entities, but just importantly have a chance to have that in front of us, to be able to be sure that there is voice provided behind those opportunities, and then there is subsequent dialogue. For me, I hope very much so that the ideas do the fighting, and that we continue as a council, as I believe I've seen more times than not, that we're able to move information and legislation forward as a council. So with that, I want to make sure that I take the opportunity to provide some context and clarity around the legislative proposal that is before us, as well as the opportunity that it creates for our city, for our community, as well as for council. I alluded to as before, legislative proposals are rare, so I just want to be sure that you know that we don't get here often. So it's important to make sure that as we have a legislative proposal before us, that we're able to at least unpack it for our own value and consideration. There are essentially 6 areas in which legislative proposals are providing specificity. The proposal itself, the reason for the proposal, the background information, the fiscal impact, the desired outcome, as well as the resources required. I say that because I know that unless you've got really, really strong vision, you can't see those elements on the screen itself. So I wanted to make sure I shared that that is how it is interpreted when we have the information in front of us. So as I will not be reading slides to you, I do want to point that out because I know that is a difficult read. And as I do that, I want to draw your attention to two key areas in the consideration of a legislative proposal. The first is what I'll allude to as supplemental information. It's typically background information that's captured inside of this effort. The second is fiscal impact. And so I want to make sure I underscore that. Background information, supplemental information, as well as fiscal impact. Both of those things, in my view, are what we want to take a look at once we understand the most important thing, which is the why. The why. And the why is expressed in the reason for the proposal. Next slide, please. As I get into the next slide, I want you to know that we've been very, very specific about process, making sure that, as this slide tells us, there is a policy and a procedure that is used to go about the naming of a park, or in this case, the renaming of a park. It's important to make sure that this is shared with you for one reason only. That's Resolution 644, to ensure that we have adhered to the policy and the process by raising this in advance of any change that may occur. So I shared with you before on the previous slide about fiscal impact. I also provided you an expectation look at supplemental information, or the background information, if you will. I say that to point out two things. The fiscal impact, which is one of the things that as council we pay attention to. The fiscal impact is encapsulated in the expectation of new signage would bear an expense. New signage would bear an expense. I want to make sure that this council is aware, at least in terms of fiscal impact, that it would not have to incur additional expense for signage if we were to move forward. That particular expense is generously being taken care of by the Broback family. So I wanted to be sure that you were aware that there is an opportunity for us to take a good look at the things that might move the community forward and may have no impact in terms of fiscal challenges for the council. Next slide, please. What you have before you is essentially the home stretch understanding of the presentation. Here is essentially what Councilmember McCluskey and I have covered this evening.
We have shared with you that there is an engagement on behalf of the City of University Place Historical Society to really frame the expectation of historical impact for the City of University Place. It's also been an expectation in that there is a process that we have been absolutely consistent with to ensure that we move this through appropriately. The expectation of ensuring that there was engagement with the Park Commission, for example. The legislative proposal that is in front of you tonight and the generous time that the Brobeck family has shared in order to give you specificity around not just the historical significance, but the ways in which this living legacy continues to impact through 5 generations tonight. The expectation in terms of logistics and process, the reconstruction, if you will, for park renaming and what that opportunity looked like. That particular scenario is really good in terms of timing, having the legislative proposal in front of you tonight. So as I think about what we might be able to do in terms of consideration and accomplishing things together, I want to reiterate one more thing: the generosity of the family to being able to offset that fiscal impact that would be part of the consideration as we look at how to move forward, just for consideration of a legislative proposal, willing to pay for the new park signs. Next slide, please. Why now? Why now with the consideration? I shared with you earlier, it's about opportunity. The opportunity it creates as a city, the opportunity it creates as a community, the opportunity it creates as a council, the opportunity for a city. This allows us to tell a more complete story, historically and contextually. The opportunity it creates as a community, it allows us to honor the impact of the Brobeck pioneer family on the City of University Place and the City of University Place evolution. The opportunity it creates for us as a council, it allows us to give a nod of appreciation to the historic 20-acre Brobeck homestead and farm, and the remnant that has brought about fun memories, a sense of community pride, and healthy living incentive. I think tonight we've also heard of an intrinsic value that can be identified within the consideration of proposal by just taking into account the testimonies, if you will, that you heard from the Brobeck family lineage. Next slide, please. As we offer the opportunity for questions, let me first say we're grateful for all the partners who leaned in to help develop this proposal. The Brobeck family, the UP Historical Society, and council members, as we consider how to move forward and what this means before us in terms of opportunity. Thank you so much.
Okay, we got some questions on that, and I'll start. A couple of things. One is the legislative proposal mentioned this proposal has been vetted by the Parks Commission. So this particular proposal that you wrote went to the Parks Commission first?
Yeah, I
thought this was the first time we'd been seen.
No, the UP Historical Society. Which one do I talk? This one? The other one? This one? Okay. The UP Historical Society went to the Park Commission first and presented their idea. The Parks Commission...
Can you move the mic up to you, please? Thank you.
From there, the Parks Commission gave it to people on staff. I guess the agenda setting committee reviewed it. And when I was in my staff meeting, there was a mention that this came forward. And I talked to Councilmember Boykin, and we both felt that the council really needed to take the full vetting of it. But first, Councilmember Boykin and I really needed to find out a little more about it, what drove it, the reasons why, so that it would make sense to us, so that we were not wasting the council members' time. So we decided that it was a valid idea to bring forward. After we discussed it, we came together and did the proposal, and there you have it today.
Okay, so the process, and we're trying to keep due process, is not for a historical society to take it to the commission to ask them for their recommendation. The process is for the council through a study session to give direction through a resolution to go to the commission for a study and a recommendation. Let me just finish. And so I'm kind of surprised and concerned that it went from Historical Society to the Parks Commission and then from them to staff, and then we have a legislative proposal. So I thought I was here to entertain a legislative proposal that we would then give direction to say, let's give it to the Parks Commission to give us a recommendation. So I don't know what did the Parks Commission provide officially to us as a council, not to the Historical Society, to the council. That's who they answer to, not to Historical Society. So can you answer that?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Once again, Jack Eklund, Public Works Director. So the Historical Society and the Broback family came to the Park Commission and made a much similar, although a little bit less, but similar to what you heard tonight during the basically the public comment period portion of the April 10th Park Commission meeting. So it wasn't like an item for consideration by the Park Commission, but they did hear it as public comment. Based on what they heard, they did, rightly saying, like you mentioned, it wasn't something that they had the direction to take like say pass a recommendation, because it didn't come from council, but they did basically pass something that just said they endorsed the opportunity for the.
So let me cut through this real quick.
That was
okay. So I understand all that. So did they have a true public process for renaming the park, meaning public comments, studying it, debating it? Did they do that? Because I don't see a formal vetting of the commission coming back to us saying this is what the recommendation and this is the process we took. Is that process there?
So
yes or no?
All they have is a public comment provided by the group. So it wasn't a formal consideration. So that wasn't part of the deal. It was the group came in public comment, and so there wasn't a consideration action for them to take. That makes sense.
Okay, so there was no vetting of the commission other than hearing the one family and saying, okay, it sounds good, but that was not an official recommendation to the council.
Because they didn't feel it was appropriate because they didn't have the direction from council
right,
to consider.
And that's my point. They didn't have a direction. So I'm kind of really, I'm just, I know this is sensitive, everybody, and I'm not saying that I'm for it or not for it, but you all know I believe in the process, and it's important that we keep to the process. You spoke to it, Mr. Boykin.
I always do, Mr. Mayor, absolutely.
Yeah, and this does not follow the process because it sets a precedent for many other things that could happen that we don't want. Let me just finish, okay? But I'll entertain your response because my major concern is a precedent. People are listening, people are watching, and so now it's a precedent. Well, we thought we had this. Now we can just go and see and just give a public comment to the commission. They can nod their heads. Yeah, that sounds a good idea, and here we are. I think the first, so I don't consider this as being vetted by the Parks Commission. It's kind of incorrect to me. I think that the process should be really about us listening to this and saying, okay, this is a great idea. Let's send it to the Parks Commission for a formal recommendation and do their public process, other than just one group. I think the rest of our community needs to listen and hear and comment to the Parks Commission and say, yeah, that sounds good, or give them comments. Certainly want to hear that. So the other comment is on the donation, and I certainly want to hear from staff, and that is that, would we build it and then they reimburse us? How would all that work? Because, we can't just give them permission to hire their own contractors to build on our park. And who dictates how it's going to look, who dictates how big, what lettering, all that kind of stuff, what materials, all that needs to be brought forward for consideration. So those are my comments, and you're welcome to comment.
Okay. As we know, the commissions can percolate ideas up to council. Council can give directions back to the commissions as to furthering that direction and that sense of interest. So it's a two-way street, but the final direction is given by the council, which is the only reason why this legislative proposal is here in a study session, is for the council to give direction to further vet it or not. We just gave a helicopter feel-good presentation that is there a spark of interest in commemorating and honoring the legacy of the Brobeck name in Homestead Park. Is there? Is there not? If there is some interest, we want to figure out what a little more, more details on that. That's fine. That is what a legislative proposal is. It's not to set law at this point. It's not to push the council to a consideration at this point. It's just, is there 4 members of the council that would like to discuss this further to see if it is appropriate for the citizens of University Place to have Brobeck on the signage of Homestead Park. We brought all the information that we had to date, and it came, talked to a couple park commissioners. I gave direction to the UP Historical Society because I wanted to understand what the Park Commission, if they're interested or not, because after all, in that Resolution 644, the Park Commission does the naming of the parks. They go through a public process and all of those things, but they certainly can't do that with council direction. So here we are to this date and time because the council wants the details, right? If we were just to say, let's rename the park, right?
I'm not debating the information provided.
So I think that
what
the chair.
Thank you. I believe that we had done the process to the best of our ability in an honest and with integrity, to not to not hide anything. We're here with it, and if it goes forward, great. If it doesn't, that's how things goes as well. Thank you.
So my point wasn't about, I'm not done with the floor. My comment wasn't about the presentation. It was a wonderful presentation, and the public comments were wonderful. It gave me a lot of information. That's not my issue. Concern is the process that was taken. So did you get a formal request from the chair or from the commission indicating that they would like us to entertain this?
So what the Park Commission did, as I mentioned, because they didn't have the direction to take an action, but what they did is they did a vote that basically endorsed the opportunity for this to be, for the group to talk to council about it. So that was the kind of as strong as they felt they could do, since it wasn't a council direction for them to consider. So because they also want to make sure they were honoring the process like you're talking about. Okay. So they were generally amenable to the idea, but they felt it wasn't their position at that point to make.
Well, it was their position. It's just like Councilmember McCluskey said. They are in a position to come to us and say, this is a good idea, percolate it up to us and say, would you take a look at this? That's what they should have done, not sent the proponent to come before us.
So they specifically...
You understand that process, right?
Yes. So their action was they voted to endorse the opportunity to come forward to council. That's what they did. That's what they felt is... They didn't do it. They weren't asked to make a recommendation, but they thought it was merited enough to...
They percolated up by voting on it to come forward. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is how this came along. Okay. No, the information is great. I think it was what we need. I'm just making sure that the process is clear for me to proceed and not feel like I'm opening a door for others to say they can take shortcuts. So I understand that. I would have preferred if the commission would have sent a letter and say, we voted on this, council, would you please take a look at it in whatever manner you want. That would have been my preference. Not sent a historical society back to us and say, you tell them that we did this. That's not a true process. Yes.
Yeah, can I jump in here? Here's the scenario. You have a couple different entry points in terms of the process. You have the council entry point and you have the commission entry point. They are not in sync. If I can bounce the screen for a second, let me walk council through it with council's indulgence. Let me share with council what your process is in Resolution 644. It says I'm sharing. It says I'm sharing on my end. And I know Linda
It is
said
in front
I'm
of us in our packet, though.
What's that?
It is in front of us in our packet.
It is in front of you in the packet. Okay. If you take a look at, I was hoping I was bouncing on the screen there. If you take a look at Section 1 of Resolution 644 that Council had adopted in May of 2010, it identifies the then Parks and Recs Commission has the body to make the recommendations for the naming of all parks. And so I think that's where the initial comment was in terms of the Parks Commission making a recommendation. What you have is you actually have two potential recommendations. There's the recommendation which they did make, which is talk to council, as opposed to the recommendation that council has identified in the resolution to say, what do you recommend we should do with this proposal? And those are two very different, they're related, but they are different things. As you go through the rest of the council procedure and process, identified in Section 3 of that is a list of 7 different factors that are to be considered at some point in time associated with the naming. There are a number that are arguably applicable, and there are some that are not. The one that is clearly applicable is the very last one, which is identified in there. And since it's not on screen, which is identified, which I'll just simply quote, which is once the park, recreation area, or facility has been named, it should be considered permanent and changes strongly resisted. So that's part of the decisional matrix that council and arguably the commission should go through, which is you have the name of a facility. What necessitates a change in light of council direction that a name change is to be, quote, strongly resisted, end quote, from council's policy. And I think that goes, if I may, I think that goes back to what the mayor was speaking to in terms of how do you want this vetted? And it is up there. Thank you. How do you want this vetted? At what point in time? What sequencing and occurrence? And this goes back to the point that I had made kind of at the outset. You have 2 different entry points. And Jack alluded to it. The Historical Society came in under public comment in the April Parks Commission meeting. That's a perfectly reasonable spot to say, hey, let's start somewhere in here. And then on a different track with the legislative proposal, which I think is dated a month or so later, hey, let's bring this to council's attention. So now you have this in front of council. At the end of the day, from a process perspective, the question for council is, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to send it back to the Parks Commission and have the Parks Commission actually evaluate it under those 7 factors, or do you feel you have enough information on your own to evaluate that? And that, I think, is the question before council.
Okay, so my last comment on this, and then I'll pass the floor. That is that I have not yet decided which way, but certainly is a park that's been named, number one. Number two is we have it's like an RFP, request for proposals. I mean, we got one proposal to name it after Broback, but there's many families in this community that have a long history and community contributions to this city, and I don't feel right not to open it up to the community for proposals for families that may want to be named after one of our facilities. And I understand the background. Believe me, I understand the background very well. I dealt with that for many years with Washington State Parks and naming parks. We had this same situation, and I'm debating this just like I debated there, is how do we open it up for others so we don't get slammed, I don't know what the correct word here, slammed and say, well, why didn't you open it up? I could have given you reasons why. I think at least, I'm not against renaming it. I know it strongly says not to, but we can if we want. It should be for a very good reason, but I certainly would want to give other community members to give us their proposals as to why their name. I don't know. There's a lot of, that's a pretty nice, very nice thing to have as a family legacy, and we have a lot of legacies in this city. So that would be my last comment here to this council. I saw your hand up, Councilmember Worthington.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. A good chance to talk about this. And some of what I said we've touched on, but just let me recap that briefly. So, and I wanted to, when I get done with that recap, I wanted to ask the proponents, Councilmember McCluskey and Councilmember Boykin, what action were you, in addition, in the process of seeking the renaming, what would be the action that you would propose as the advocates for this? So, but before I get there, let me run it back a little bit and see what we can do, just to recapture some of the thoughts that our city attorney had shared as well. One of them is, to me, it struck me that the Parks Commission was in a little bit of not a rock and a hard place, but they had a little bit of a dilemma. Because they had a public interest item coming off the floor at a meeting and it was legitimate, and they're in the bailiwick. It's about one of our parks. Okay, and so they decided to work with that, but they hadn't really gotten direction from this council. And the council is pretty clear about certain things. One of them is, we want you to take action with direction, and such. So, and they do have if you will, a mandate to feed us information too. We've heard something of interest. We thought you should know about this, and so they had this vehicle that they brought it to our attention. But in my view, the action isn't complete, and the Parks Commission now needs to be asked by us for a recommendation if we choose to proceed with this. So that's what I would see, but I don't know quite. I know ultimately your desire as advocates for this is to change the park name for a variety of good reasons. But what were the steps that you were thinking about to be able to achieve that?
If I may, because I had been hoping to be recognized. Okay. And so thank you so much, Councilmember Worthington, for raising that issue. I'd love to respond. Let me first, though, apologize for speaking out of turn when Mayor, our chair, was chairing the meeting, and I interrupted to support the voice of my colleague, Councilmember McCluskey. That was not appropriate. My apology for that, Mayor. Did not mean to do that. Having said that, let me address your question. The whole goal for the legislative proposal, I was really clear. Wanted to be sure that I had spoken to that. I said that legislative proposals are rare, and that the opportunity that we have in front of us, we should make it a point to be really intentional about looking at all of it. I've walked you through the fields that's in the legislative proposal. I called out two in particular, the fiscal impact as well as the background information. And that also was intentional. The reason for doing that, as I answer your question, Councilmember Worthington, is because I wanted folks to be clear, and I used the word vetted when I made reference to the Park Commission, that we had done our due diligence with what we knew that we had both on paper and what the Parks Commission had on paper. And as the engagement happened with the work being done in the community, to hear someone saying, I've got an interest and an action I'm hoping that you can take, from the City of University Place Historical Society, as well as the Parks Commission saying that in their own minutes that there had been an opportunity to talk about this and looking for what we could do next, the logical explanation was to move it, the logical action was to move it to council, with having had those conversations with both of those entities and recognizing that a legislative proposal has to take 2 council members just to bring it forward. I was really clear also about what a legislative proposal is to ensure that that issue comes before community, comes before the city, and comes before the council. So there is nothing that we, or certainly that I intended to be a foregone conclusion about anything, except that we had done due diligence to put good information around an issue that had come to us, and the work being demonstrated to move that forward. So the last thing I want to do is put forward some type of admonishment to volunteers, our commission that did good work to try to respond to a voice that was coming in community, our historical society that had done due diligence to ensure that there was an opinion at least offered around the expectation of what could we do differently. All we've done is the work. And the last part of that was to ensure that we had done the right thing to get it in front of council so council could do due diligence and look at what it wants to do. The process for Resolution 644 is clear. It doesn't say this must be a concluded process. We always have the opportunity to have as many different advisors, in this case commissioners, take a look at whatever issue that we want. So I didn't see this as a foregone conclusion that there was no more work to do. On the contrary, it was being really clear about our historical impact by people who are in our community to provide historical moments and historical significance for our city, as well as being sure that we have touched base with the folks that have been in the place to offer good opinions about issues. In this case, our Parks Commission, and lastly, making sure that we're working with any council member that wants to do the work based upon residents and citizens coming to us, looking for us to do our duty on council, which is to create legislative policy. So I really want to underscore and intimate that there is nothing that I believe that we owe an apology to anybody for. This is exactly the process, and our expectation was to put it in front of council, and as the last slide says, questions, be more than happy, as I thank the Broback family, the University Place Historical Society, as well as the council members that just put their signature on the process to ensure that it moves forward so that the council has transparency and opportunity to weigh in. And those are my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, good. Well, thank you. I appreciate you answering my question, but I had a follow-up. But Councilmember McCluskey, did you have something?
I concur with Councilmember Boykin. That was the intention. We spoke many hours on this together to put it together because it was stymied after the Park Commission. And so reviewing it with our city attorney, Kaiser, he said to bring it to council at this point in junction, it would be a legislative proposal. And further talking with Councilmember Boykin, then I would bring it, we could bring it to council for a discussion and see what the next steps are.
Yep.
You know, the desired outcome is, changing the name, but
yeah, as you said, to see what the...
right. Yeah. Because Councilmember Boykin and I, we don't have all the details and information, and when the staff comes or when the park is vetting and they do their public hearing or all those things that need to take place, what happens between if the council chooses to go forward now and then and to bring it back to council, then we can have another discussion in more depth.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you, and I appreciate that response. So, as I said, I have a follow-up to that because hearing what your response was would then lead me to my next comment, having started the dialogue we had. So, and first off, certainly, as I started my comments, the Planning Commission, did it again. The Park Commission did absolutely nothing wrong. They were responding to requests. They found a way to bring it to our attention, and we're working through that. The question is, the process is a little convoluted at this point just because how it's come to us. And it's sort of, how do we move forward from here? And you were asking, Councilmember McCluskey, you seem to be asking sort of the same question. Let's do whatever is next. Let's figure out what that is. And so with the presentation this evening, with the information, with the legislative request is before us tonight, I'm all certainly of interest in doing what's next. To me, what's next is, I think, for this council to consider asking the Parks Commission to do a formal review based on 644 and decide and receive a recommendation from their review. And then with that information, we could more completely look at what if we choose to change the park name. And there's a number of things in here. Item 7, as you point out, is a little tricky, but I think that's not quite as difficult in this situation. But that's for the Parks Commission to explore and for us to hear what their comments are. I think that's possible. Certainly, I'd be supportive of doing that at the next opportunity we have to vote on this.
Yeah, Councilmember Worthington, there is the number 5 that when it's under reconstruction, that there's a possibility of a renaming as well. I don't fully understand that dialogue, that line, but from a layman's look-see at it, I think that's why it was a good opportunity now with the reconstruction of Homestead Park.
Yeah, and so the reason I said it may not be as tricky for this particular one is my recall of the lore around this naming, and I think of it as lore, not as fact, because I don't know, I wasn't there, but good people were, then I've heard a variety of stories. One of which was the name was included in one of the proposals. And I see resolutions in our history honoring the Brobeck family and art specifically that would suggest that this was all sort of starting that process. But that didn't happen. And so is this something we're changing, or is this something we're kind of returning to what the original intent is? And I don't know the answer to that, but I would like to get some exploration about that. So. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say, boy, that's loud. A couple of things. One is I really appreciate bringing this forward for the conversation. As I shared with the Brobeck family during our public comment was I came in with one idea and now my head's kind of rolling through a bunch of stuff and processing it. But as you pointed out, this is for a conversation and not for a decision or a passage or anything like that. So a lot of good information has come forward tonight. I've learned a lot that I didn't know before. And to Councilmember Worthington's point, there's probably still more unanswered questions and more that we need to learn. I believe the mayor made a very good point that we do need to follow the due process. And I was not aware of, but I'm glad we have it here, that we do have that process in place. So it's important that we do follow that. So I see 3 possible pathways, really. One is do nothing. We've heard it. It's kind of like we came, we looked, we saw, we heard, and now we move on. The other is, just take some time out and think about this and process it a little bit and, gather more information. Or the third is to send it back to the commission and ask them to follow the process that the council or previous councils, the city has established in terms of coming to naming or renaming. And I really only see those three processes. And then I think it's through consensus, since this is simply a study session, that we move forward in one direction or another. So those are my comments.
Mayor Pro Tem Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. So a few things. Obviously, a lot of discussion on process. Without rehashing anything, I will just say I would support a return to Parks Commission for formal consideration. if that's where the council would like to go. I love the presentations today, both in the just now and with the public comment. I thought that was awesome. It's great. My bachelor's degree is in history, so anything history I love. What I would say about that is the story of University Place is the story of our people who've lived here. You know, it's not a story of buildings, it's not a story of roads, it's a story of the people. And an opportunity to tell that story, I think we should pursue, at least look into. So having said that, I do want to briefly address Section 3, Item 7, should be considered permanent. In this particular case, and again, we can let Parks Commission take a formal look at it, because this is the Homestead Park that was the Broback Homestead, I don't see this as a huge change. This is, it's the original family that owned the place. I don't see it as a huge change. But I would also like us to consider opening it up, not opening up the naming, but opening up the idea of telling more of the story of the community at the time. If there's a historical marker there that said, hey, this is the Broback family homestead, who was one of many farming families in this area at this time that did these things, I think that would be a great opportunity to help tell the story of our city and the people in it. And honestly, if we decide not to rename the park, I'd still like to see a historical marker there somewhere that just tells that particular story of this is where our community came from. Otherwise you wouldn't know that this building is sitting on top of an old farm, and whose farm it was and what it produced. I think that's great history. So with that, I think my broader question that I would like to understand, that I would also like the Parks Commission to look into, would be just a little bit of I'm relatively new on council, 4 years now, the broader context of how our parks were named in the past. I've got the process, but we've got, 13, 14 parks in the city, something like that. How they've been named in the past, just what's happened, where did they come from, a little bit of the story behind that. I'd really appreciate knowing that as we move forward. That concludes my comments, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I echo Mayor Pro Tem Wood's comments on telling more of the story of family, and I also echo your sentiments on that families built this city. I'm sitting here looking at this proclamation signed by my father, to Art Broback. So I know the importance of family, so I just want you to hear that whatever the decision is, family is important and to this community. I would also support, the mayor's comments and direction of following the process that we have in place of going back from formal direction from the Parks Commission, not to belabor a process, but just to follow our due process. And I want to thank the family again for all of the history. I think, opening it up to to hear other people's idea. This is a kind of a unique situation. I don't think there's many other families that would feel quite as entitled to that park as the Broback family does. So, it's a little unique situation for me as far as that. But I want to thank you for your generosity for offering the funds for the fiscal impact, because that was another question I had. Do we have an accurate estimate for the family as far as what that price would be, as far as tear down, installation, new signage, so that we all are on board on the fully accurate number of the donation?
I don't have it with me right now, but it's something we could pull together within actually probably 2 days. Actually, Tony's on vacation, so maybe give me a week. But we did actually he has just priced out a similar sign, because we're looking at doing some additional signage at Cirque Park, and so we do have up-to-date pricing for that, a similar type of sign.
Okay.
So we want it'd be a consistent sign of what's out there now.
Correct.
But
I just want to make sure that the family knows exactly what they are fully, committing to. And again, thank you for your generosity. And I think I had one other comment, but Mr. Attorney, you thought there was a question that you had on your mind that was inquisitive, and I didn't know if you didn't get to say that. Was there a different opinion as far as process, as far as it coming to you?
No.
Okay.
Actually, what Councilmember Worthington had identified was actually where I was recommending, but I think Councilmember Fleming identified your 3 options before you, but I don't need to step into where I think council consensus is otherwise going at this point.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Worthington.
Thank you, Jack. Question for you. So the park is about to go into redevelopment?
Yes.
Are we putting in new signs with redevelopment?
We weren't planning on it.
Okay. All right. No,
The
that's
signs
sort of,
aren't going to be impacted, but yeah.
fair enough. But I was just wondering if are we in fact already budgeted to replace signs with a new park? But not in this case. But you've answered my question. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll make a comment and then I'll come to you. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, okay. I'll come back to you too. I certainly believe, just as we're going around, so we can at the end provide clear direction to the staff. But certainly, going back to complete the process with the commission and with a resolution being clear as to what we're asking them to do. I do want to say is if we say should this be a Brokeback name attached or no, yes or no, I think I personally would like to see it open up to our community for requests. I have something like this. It's just, I don't know how to say it other than it should be opened up. I have a lot of respect for the Brokeback family. As you heard, I have some attachment there, but certainly I have respect for a lot of other families in this community that have a deep commitment to this community, and certainly want to listen to them if they would make, again, if it makes the mark, great. If it, but I think that the commission should open it up and see what else is going on, and certainly at least open up to the public and for public comment, other than just one party. So I'll go to Councilmember Boykin and then Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to reiterate that I thought one of the things that was important about ensuring the legislative proposal went forward tonight for consideration was opportunity. And I was very clear about making sure that opportunity touched three different entities. The first was the city, the second was the community, and the third was council. And the reason why I wanted, again, to underscore the expectation about opportunity, because when I alluded to the city, I said that it creates and allows us to tell a more complete story, both historically as well as contextually. I think that aligns specifically with the expectation of council members seeing an intrinsic value in the city of University Place, reflecting its residents, reflecting its people, reflecting its families. And so I hope that again gives you some specificity about the intentionality about offering good information at the right time for consideration. I also said that in terms of council, what it does in terms of offering opportunity, it allows us to give a nod. I really do believe a nod of appreciation to the historic 20-acre Broback homestead and farm that really is the remnant, is what is identified at a minimum of the Homestead Park currently. And good, bad, or indifferent, I don't see how it's anything but inextricably linked. It absolutely is clarity about the historical significance as well as 5 generations that continue now. So I am not trying to advocate for anything in particular ahead of the process. I want the information within council to be sure that we've got good information to consider from all those aspects, from the city's aspect of opportunity, from the community aspect of opportunity, and lastly, from the council's aspect of opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, from what everyone has said so far, changing the name of a park or anything in the city, whether it be a street or a building or whatever, is a big deal. And it really does require, I agree, it requires a lot more input than what we have before us tonight. I think if we elected to leave, because this is going to, I think this has the potential to be kind of heated because we've had a name of a park for the last 30 years.
Practically.
But I do agree with the idea that if we leave the name the same, we should have a historical marker placed in that park, and you could call that marker the Broback Homestead, and then the history below that. I was impressed with that billboard presentation, whatever we call that thing. I was really impressed with that. We ought to steal their photos and put them somewhere in a gallery. But you know, I think that in and of itself, I think really addresses where you were trying to go with that, and then putting that marker in there with that complete history, you know, for people to enjoy for time immemorial. But I think, you know, if we wanted to avoid any kind of a drag them out battle over this when it may not be necessary, I think the compromise there is leave the name, you know, put the marker, honor the family and their contributions, and I think we accomplished the goal.
So staff, as reference to the marker, if council say, hey, we would like to have that marker there to show that history and all that, is that something that can just done without going through any other process, or the council giving direction on that? And then part of the grants that are reconstructing the park, could you use that to do that marker as well?
We'd have to look at it, but I think that if the direction from council on that is to look into a marker, our first step would be identify, you know, the cost of that sort of thing, and then we can look into whether our current budget we have for the renovation of the park would handle it, or if we need additional funds. So, but that's, I think, the next step for sure.
Okay. Well, just my final comment, so you can start figuring out on the direction, and that is that I really, you know, I want to respect, again, the process that the proposal came into council members to rename it to Broback. I want to respect that and at least send it to the commission with a resolution to give us a recommendation with their due public process. And number one. Number two is I think we can do this on the side. We don't need the commission in that resolution unless you feel we do. But as far as a marker, I think a marker is definitely a plus no matter what. And if we can do that, and if there's any money there, maybe the family said they could donate, maybe they have something that could be worked out so we have a marker. That's are my thoughts on that. And Mr. Boykin, you had your hand up, right?
No, sir, I didn't.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it, though.
Mr. Worthington.
Yeah, thank you. And I have no objection to consideration of a marker other than let us not try and make it a national register marker. That's a big deal, and it has a fairly significant cost to get that designation. We have all the authority we need to create to name and place a historic marker on behalf of this city. So.
Okay. Councilmember McCluskey.
All right, thank you. I like the ideas that are vetting out. If in lieu of the addition of Broback to Homestead, a historical marker to commemorate and give a nod to the history of the park and the legacy of the Brobacks that they had within the city of University Place, I would hesitate to bring it back to the Park Commission and have free reign to change Homestead. I mean, that is like Cirque Park. It's intrinsic, it's historical in itself because it's been used a lot. So I would kind of take maybe just a couple choices back to the Park Commission in the renaming and the vetting, not to open it up to, because, you know, we have Morrison Pond and now the park is named Paradise Pond. You know, that might be the dilemma that we have when we get a lot of public vetting a name that they may not know all the historical components of what created Morrison Pond that evolved into the name of Paradise Pond at that time. So I don't want that to happen in the heart of our community, you know, where it's like our Central Park, and it was a gift. Well, it wasn't a gift. We paid for it to become an open space to recreate and have a place of beauty and respite. So please, you know, I don't want to basically change Homestead. Just maybe the addition or a marker or both.
Okay. Before Councilmember Fleming, yes, my flavor, thank you for, and again, we have to be clear in this resolution. I would not want to see the name Homestead disappear either. I think the request would be to, can Broback, the name Broback can be added to that Homestead or not, because I think we would really confuse our community because they love that name. Everybody knows Homestead Park, so that's not something I want to change. So I just want to be clear on that. Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mayor. Moses. It's for those exact reasons. Once this goes back to the Park Commission, it could come out as who knows who park. I mean, you want to keep that historical perspective that we have. And so I'm personally reluctant to send this back to the commission. I'm more perhaps interested in figuring out a way forward here. And I think the way forward was, you keep that Homestead Park, but as people go in the park, they'll see that sign that says Broback Homestead and the history behind it. I hope it's a good, solid, long history like the one that we got tonight. And then people can make that connection. So you don't have to, go down this other road that, in my opinion, is not necessary. But, we've got a great presentation, we've got a great park, we've got a great name, and we've got a solution to honor a family that once lived here. So that my take would be is keep the name, add that signage in the park, and then we go forward from there.
Well, let's just go around and just give our thoughts to the staff and let them figure it out based on the comments. So we'll start with Grassy.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mainly go to the commission or not.
I'm sorry, clarify what I'm...
To go to the commission with a resolution on renaming.
Or what?
or what just Councilmember Fleming said. Don't go to the commission, and we just come up with, put in a historical marker.
Okay.
One of the two.
I'm not opposed really to either one, except for I thought that we already had a long discussion on following our process, which that process included going to the Parks Commission. So for that reason, I'm not into belaboring the time of the decision. I think the proposal was wonderful. I agree. A marker could be excellent. I don't want to set a precedent of going against a process if that is what the intent of this evening is.
The process, by the way, is like Councilmember Fleming said earlier, we can say no. We can say no to renaming that park. That's what he's saying, is that he's advocating to say no to renaming the park, but he's in favor of doing a marker.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
you're saying solid no? I didn't hear that from you.
And the rationale is not to say, we don't want to honor it. The point was being, and Councilmember McCluskey made a really good point. When this goes to the Park Commission, it's open hunting season on the name. As they follow that process. And so we went from one park name to a different park name when that happened. I don't want to see, I don't know which council member said that, but I don't want to see the name that we have lost because somebody came up with another idea. I really like the name that we have. People know it is historical. People know Homestead Park. What they don't know is the history behind that name, and the history behind that name is the Broback family came here, they lived here, they worked on that land, and we don't know that history. So having a marker in the park that says Broback Homestead and the history beneath that, as it was presented, captures, I think, the intent of what we're trying to get to.
I see. I'm in favor of at the very least of having a marker there with it. I think that's a wonderful idea and a great way to history. But I do like the idea of sending it back to the Parks Commission for the process of public hearing for the idea of changing the name, not open hunting season, from Homestead to Broback Homestead only. And I think that we could give that specific direction. I'd be interested in public hearing for that purpose only. At the very least, though, I do think it at least warrants a marker if that doesn't come forward.
Got clear direction from you. And I got it from you, so Councilmember Worthington.
Thank you, Mayor. From my perspective, I'm in favor of, if you will, following the process, asking the Commission, which in my mind is asking the Commission to respond to the criteria in 644. I would rather have them do it than the City Council do it, and I think then we can react to it and absorb that information quicker and allow them to do the thing that they've been selected to do. I'm certainly in favor of a plaque, appropriate plaque in the park, however, whatever the outcome of the renaming is. In giving the direction of the Parks Commission, I would also say that we should ask them to retain the name Homestead in that process as part of that name. If there's another, I don't know how any other family or name would come out, but if it does, I guess we can consider that. But at the end of the day, this council makes the decisions, so it can be known. So, in any case,
ditto on that. I think that going back to the commission is a better process. Not that our process, us deciding, is a true process, but I feel better if the commission, our community members, had a thumb on it. I do want to, with clear indication in the resolution that comes back for us to vote on, that that the Homestead name stays, and it's really about naming it, with a person's name or not. But it's not an option for them to start renaming Homestead. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
So, basically ditto. Support going back to the commission with specific guidance of, adding a name to Homestead. Should it be Broback Homestead or just stay Homestead? And again, I reiterate, I would support historical marker if the name change doesn't go through, or even if it does go through, I still think we need a historical marker.
Right.
But I would like to, as part of the process, whether Parks Commission does this or staff does it, just again get more context on how we've named other things in the past. Thank you.
Councilmember, I think I know both of your directions, so can we, just for the sake of time, can we move on? And I think they understand.
I would like to do minimum the historical marker with the name change, keeping Homestead would make sense. People read Broback Homestead, and then they'll see the marker, and it goes, oh yeah, that makes sense. But if the name change doesn't go through, historical marker would be the consolation prize.
Mr. Boykin.
I support the action of it moving to Parks Commission with our guidance. I will reiterate the things that I know to be most important. At the end of the day, it's our council that creates legislative policy, and our commissions, all of them are not just all our commission opinions are valued, but we look for that data to make good decisions for legislative policy. And the last thing that I would say in terms of why I think it ought to go back to the Parks Commission is really number 5, as Councilmember McCluskey alluded to, whenever possible, a facility shall be named prior to construction of the improvement. We've got an opportunity right now because there's going to be a material improvement to Homestead, and so much such that if there were a new sign, it wouldn't surprise anyone based upon the extent of the improvement. So if we're going to be reasonable, which I think we can, there's opportunities for us to look at this holistically. What is it that we have in terms of data? What is it that would be ideal for the City of University Place and who we are? And what would it mean in the opportunity that we have an improvement process that is scheduled to be underway? There's a chance to put a naming aligned with who we are. And I think that is a phenomenal opportunity. So I'll leave it at that, Mr. Mayor.
I think you got the direction. The only thing I would ask is, because we are going, do you know when approximately the completion of the reconstruction of the park would be? This year or next year?
Yes.
There's a reason for me asking, and that is that if it's next year, for example, or if even this year, but much later, we're going to have a grand opening, right, or some kind of ceremony. If we're going to have, if the commission truly did changed that, and that's what their decision, and we actually voted for it, then it would definitely be a very good time to introduce that change at that ceremony. So when would that?
We're still working our way through because we have that, although it's not the lion's share of the funding for it, there is a portion of funding. It's still significant. It's coming from the federal government, and we have to.
So it's not till next year?
Most likely.
Okay, yeah, let's just be honest, okay? Yeah. It won't be. So we have some time here to go through this whole process and make it nice and clear to why we're doing this and how's it going to happen. And be a good thing. So thank you.
And do you want, I assume based on what I'm hearing, do you want, in addition to the Park Commission giving a recommendation, do you want them also to give their thoughts or on the timing of it, tie it to the, if they were to make a change, or is that something council would do?
Yeah.
Okay, just focus them on the name change.
Right, the name change and so. Okay.
Okay.
We're good, so thank you very much. What a discussion. And the family got to watch the whole thing. And thank you for listening. This is really the process we go through. This is not the first time we've gone through this for many other things on behalf of our citizens. But I think at the end of the day, if we get asked what happened, we can answer that with a straight face and a good heart. Thank you. Can I go and make the announcement now? Okay. So at this time, the City Council will recess to executive session for approximately 30 minutes to discuss legal counsel matters relating to potential litigation to which the agency is a party, as allowed by RCW 42.30.1101I. The Council is not expected to take further action following the executive session. Okay.
All right. Yes.
We haven't met with a good friend of ours, Jerry Marcy.
Hi. talk. Executive session is now closed. Oh, you want the gavel?